Okay, to start off with, Mima.
Hello.
Right. Okay. What is the first word that comes to mind?
First word in terms of
Just when I asked you the question, what's the first? It can be a word or a sentence.
what's the first word that comes to mind?
Yes.
Word.
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 Okay. So let's park that word. Right. I'll make a note of that.
Word.
Word.
I'm like, what's the first thing that comes to mind? About what? What word?
Word. Okay, so we'll park that and we'll come
Okay.
back to that at the very end. Okay, guys, welcome to Chat with Nat, with me, Nat, where I have conversations with people that I find interesting and we talk about life, hot topics, and also just so much more. So this episode of Chat with Nat, I am so excited. I am fangirling.
Oh no, here we go.
I have here Mima, Miss Moyo, how are you?
I'm well, how are you?
I am so good. I didn't want to do the whole tell us about yourself. But anyway, let me explain to you why I am so happy to have Mima on. I've been following Mima for a while on social media.
Yeah.
And particularly what drew me to you is your love of music, right? And you do Mima Mondays where, you share like the new sound of the week. And actually I found that I was like, you know what? I thought I was in the know, but actually, you know what? I am old, child.
I'm so today. She said no.
So I rely on Mima to be like, okay, this is what's happening, and I've loved your, just your love for music and the love that you have for Southern African music, South African music, Zim music, and your knowledge of it. So I really wanted to have you here
I'm
on Chat with
honored.
Nat so that we can talk about that. Not just that,
honored.
but I just wanted to start with the music,
Gosh.
right? So just tell me, how did you fall in love with music, and how did we come up with Mima Mondays? Yeah.
How did I fall in love with? First and foremost, you're very kind. I'm the one that's fangirling. I have a cold, so for anyone listening, I sound like this. I don't sound smooth. Music. In my house, if you come to my home, there is a very big cabinet full of DVDs. Remember the days of DVDs?
Yes.
I'm sure people did Blu-ray.
Yeah.
And is filled with people like Rebecca Malope, Shwi, Nonom Tekala, an abundance of music. So music comes from my parents. My dad, he would not like that I said this, but my dad, there's a picture of him with a guitar. So my dad's a very musical person.
Yeah.
He plays, he writes, even though he will never ever release the songs he writes.
Really?
But he's a musical person. He's managed gospel artists, and he loves sound. And sound for him begins at God. Sound for me begins from him. My dad, as he's the one that's bestowed it. My mum loves to sing as well. But music to me, it's indescribable. It's sort of like love. I always say love is indescribable. What music to me is indescribable. I think being a singer, you see the way I can't even begin to describe how music is, but music was introduced to me via my parents. And I think for a lot of people, music is home. So when you migrate or when you move somewhere, it doesn't have to be thousands of miles away, but when you move out of your house, for example, when you move to your first home, there are sounds that provide so much comfort. And I think for them, having stacks of music like Huma Sigela, Oliver Mtukudzi, IPCC, Lord Comforters, what's this? Ngandweni. All of these people remind them of home.
Right.
So music for us is home, it's comfort, it's direction.
Yes.
It's life.
Yes.
In that thing.
Yeah.
It's got vavavum.
Yeah.
For me, it lights my fire.
And I love what you say, that music is home. Because
Yes.
love is home, right?
Woo! Cha!
Because like you said, it's indescribable. So the things that we value that are indescribable do feel like home. Okay, so you talked about, and I like the fact that you talked about Shri Nomtege. Like anyone who knows me knows I love Maskandi. Man, like Shri, like I love Shri.
100%.
What's your first sound memory?
My first sound memory. Goodness gracious me. My first sound memory. Whoa, this is a great question. And I'm not an Amma or era, so I have to really think about this. I would say my first sound memory was Rebecca Malope. Manging Avomi. I think I've... Ma na 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 ba ba wam. So the song is saying, let me not allow my So the song is saying, Manging Avomi, let me not allow the enemy to steal my joy. Let me not allow the enemy to shake my spirit.
Yeah.
And the reason why that's a core memory is because in the music video, alongside Rebecca, there's a very young girl that was about my age, probably at the time when I was watching it. And she was breaking it down. I was like, manging. And I fell in love with just the tempo of the song.
Yeah.
I was like, this is vibe. So that would be my first sound memory. I know it's like, what's is assembly. I don't know. In school, we'd sing in assembly. So that would be like an active memory. But my first sound memory would be Rebecca Malope, Manging Afum, or Dr. Ribs, or Sis Ribs. You must respect her.
That's amazing. So I'll come back to the music because I feel like we've because what I had wanted to do was talk about the music and then jump to something else. But I think it would be really important to kind of get a little bit more about the young you because I think that sort of shapes you. So
she was annoying. She was terrible.
So because you've talked about sort of family, you've talked about music, and I think from me following you, like family it seems to be like a big theme. So you're so fascinating to me because I remember like a friend of mine told me, it was like, oh, Mima was born in the UK. I was like, you lie. I was like, Ulamanga.
I've held that red passport for as long as I have been alive.
Right. So talk to me about your parents when they came to UK, when you were born and that sort of stuff.
My parents arrived respectively in the United Kingdom in the early 90s.
Right.
And for them, it was never going to be a permanent fixture. And I think that's the same for a lot of people, that their parents, sisters, whatever, would come over in the early 90s. And this is when the UK was still... It's still nice.
Yeah.
That, you can come and work and then go back home. So that was their plan. And things didn't turn out that way. And they ended up having me in the late 90s. I am not a 2000 to anyone that is listening. I am not a 2K. And then they had my brother. Right. And we lived in London until I was 3, and then we moved to where we live now. Mm-hmm. And so I've lived in the southeast of England all my life. And where language comes into it, because that's what we're really alluding to.
Yeah.
It's been a very conscious choice by myself to immerse myself and to really immerse my spirit and soul and really like sit inside of my heritage and sit inside of what makes me me. And we've been very blessed and privileged that ever since we were young, I literally mean ever since we were 0, me and my brother have been flying home regularly. Bar COVID and bar the 2008, 2007 crisis where things were tough.
Yeah.
People were going, I remember when we drove to Botswana to go and get food, that was crazy times. And I cannot imagine for people that actually live that life. And I don't want to speak as if I'm not aware of the privilege that sits on my shoulders. But ever since we were younger, we've been flying back home and we'd spend our summer holidays there. And so for some people, I know someone's going to be listening like, that's not a vacation. That's not a summer holiday. Why not Dubai? Why not, Disneyland? And the one thing I want to reaffirm is that when you move and you leave all that you know behind, you have to look after that. Yeah. And so for my parents, the only time they could do that is when the kids were out of school. They could go and check on their things. And so as we were young, it didn't really bother us because we're like, we're going to see him, it's fine, we're going around with him. But now when you're growing old, you're like, but I want to go to the smokehouse. I've never been to smokehouse, but I want to go to the smokehouse and see my friends and all of this type of stuff. But I've been flying and I've been very intentional about that. So my heritage, my mother is half Sotho and half Shona.
Right.
My mother comes from a place called Entepe, which is in Gwanda. And then her father was from Masvingo. So Sotho and Shona and Venda were spoken just due to the geographical location of where her homestead is. And And of course, Maswingo, where my sekuru was from.
Yeah.
Then my father is from a beautiful, beautiful place called Matopo, Ndebele. There's nothing interesting there. Not in that way, but there's no mixture.
Yeah.
So amalgamate the two. You have Umama, who is Ndebele. She identifies as Ndebele, but she's Ndebele, Sotho, and Shona.
Yeah.
And my father is Ndebele. Growing up, they spoke English to us, but I'm too cool. So I'm like, no, I'm gonna hit you with Ndebele. Here one time. And so my Ndebele is, I would say, it's very fluent now. Yeah. It rolls off my tongue. So I speak English in Ndebele. isiZulu is because we watch too much TV.
Yeah.
But again, I would like to highlight Ndebele and Zulu has a lot of similarities.
Of course, yes.
Except when you're speaking deep Zulu and deep Ndebele. But I will always remember the one that threw me off is, for example, amagwili ngesindebele is potato.
Yes.
Amazamban ngesiZulu peanuts.
Yes.
No, sorry. Amazambani ngesindebele is peanuts.
Yeah.
Amazambani ngesiZulu is potatoes.
Potatoes. Yes.
Even me, I got mixed up. So like it's very interesting. And so I've like breaking down linguistics and trying to understand. I'm like, whoa. And then Sesotho I'm learning because of my grandmother. And the Sesotho that's spoken in Zimbabwe versus the Sesotho that is spoken in South Africa.
It's different?
Different. I wouldn't say drastically different, but there are differences. Right. Then Setswana, because I'm just wanting to learn that.
Yeah.
And then for me, the really big thing is learning Shona.
Right.
Because there's a wealth of history there that I need to unlock. There's so much that I want to unlock. Ari, my grandfather, so I never got to meet him. He passed away when my mum was 5. Right. And so, you know, not that it's a long lost family. Let me make that very clear. It's not as if we don't know them.
Yeah.
But I don't want to go to Maswingo and I'm like, Salbanani, Ninjani, it's me. Yes. You know, I'm. You want to go there? I'm like, Magadi. You know, all of that type of stuff. Manero, Mamuka. Say you want to. The most important thing for me whenever I go home is I have to be very aware of where I am and how people perceive me.
Yes.
And how, although that perception is unfair, I don't want to ever make someone feel as if I know better. Yes. Just because of where I am situated.
Yeah.
And so it's very important for me to make them feel comfortable and for all of us to feel comfortable, of course. And I know some people are like, it shouldn't be like that. But I'm very much conscious that when you don't know something, you don't know.
Yeah.
And if you don't know that what you're saying is ignorant, then you don't know. And you have to give someone the benefit of the doubt. But yeah, that is what language is to me. So we were talking about this earlier. I rarely speak English. I only speak English in the office or if I need to.
Yeah.
Otherwise, no.
Yeah.
And I'm happy with that. English is a tool to me. If it allows me to enter the doors, I need to go inside. And if I get inside those rooms and then I'm able to speak my vernac, I'm a happy person.
Do you know what? This is so amazing. So the reason I even started with, you know, I was surprised is because to me, you're so proud of, you know, where you're from and language, culture, music. And I was really shocked because, you know, we've, when we used to do Galen Skies, but then I used to talk about this all the time, which is just about, you know, how do you deal with duality, right? How do you deal with what we used to call the illusion of inclusion, you know, raising kids here? The fact that, you know, for most people, it's not that they don't want to teach their children.
Do they have the time to teach their child?
They don't have the time. They don't have the support. And sometimes, you know, you wrongly think, I really want my child to assimilate into this society, right? And for me, I'm just like, your parents have done such an... Because for me, I'm looking at you and I'm thinking, if I were ever to have a child, like this is how I want them to be. Because I want them to be
like me.
No.
We don't sleep.
No, but what I'm saying, on a very serious note, it's like, I want them to you know, whatever identities that they're comfortable with, but then I also want them to feel proud of like their heritage. Because I think there is something about again with the whole illusion of inclusion is like, you know, if you just think you're British and then all of a sudden you're faced with this deep racism and this deep thing that sort of says you are an other. You are not you know, I think there's something powerful in your psyche when you're like, yeah, I'm British, but you know what? My heritage is rich.
And it's your heritage is so wealthy. And I think there is a lot to be said about the other box. Because even though even though at school, for example, when I went to like secondary school, so high school, I was the only Southern African in my my close friends. The rest were West. So I was other in that, you know, so there's something to be said about you feeling like an other within the other already. So you're like, But I get this often at church and through other people, and they're like, and I hope you'll translate this, but they'll be like, uyazi umama wakhulela la kodwa wena uyehlulwa yini umuntu wazalelwa eBulawayo khona apha ngikhaya kuseMpopoma kodwa wena awusakwanisa ukukhuluma. And I really try, not that I speak to parents about this thing, but there's no need to make people feel bad for not being able to speak a language. Of course, you know, try what you can, dala what you must. But that doesn't take away from who you are. And I find often conversations like this have the ability to strip people of the confidence that they have. And you mentioned the word assimilation. Parents have to assimilate, then the child has to assimilate. And it's the idea that, you know, you shouldn't speak Isindebele at school. It's English at school. But when you come home, so there's a confusion sometimes because like, oh, I don't understand. I was saying to my friend the other day that Yoruba will be the next language that will be taught at schools. I don't care what you tell me. Yoruba will be a language that will be taught at schools because we are now in the generation we're in. We are now realizing the value of language and how much more connected people feel when you speak to someone. If I can see that. Sometimes you have to really like read the room and see if it's appropriate to do so. But it's just a personal thing that you are able, you know, to do something like that. I think to be included sometimes it's like, I think you can already tell how I am. I'm not really fussed if I'm not involved or if I'm not included. But there's something to be said about feeling proud and feeling proud about the history that lives inside of you. I remember when we had a couple of bereavements during COVID, and I'm sure everyone did. And one of the words that my friend Rashida, big shout out to Rashida, she's one of my favorite people. But Rashida was like, you know, these people live on through you. And not only how they live on through you is through the legacy that they have built, the visible one, but also the one that you can feel as well. And it's not a joke when you think about how your parents have got to where they've got. Then you think about how your grandparents got to where they got. And I think if all of us went all the way back and realized where we are now, and the fact that I'm able to just sit the way I'm sitting and speak the way I'm speaking. A lot of you know, people or our parents' generation or even older went through apartheid, for example. And so when you really realize that some people were fighting or some people were physically fighting or whatever, however they were fighting, you really wouldn't want to disregard your heritage. You really wouldn't want to disregard the blood that runs through your veins.
Absolutely.
And it's not to say that's an extreme end, but sometimes it's a case of excuse me, Kulu could have been the first one to go to school. He could have been the first one to actually open a shop. There are so many firsts that could have happened that come through your lineage that you may not realize because you are in denial or you don't want to accept the wealth of what it is. And I think that's just because of comparison. I think sometimes we'll be like, but we weren't the first to open a shop. Okay, that's fine. But you were the first one to do this. Your achievement or your family's achievements are not minimized in any way, shape or form. Because they belong to you. They're yours, right? So who can take that away from you? And I think that's where, why am I crying? Sorry. I think that's where, for me, I really recognize how much effort has gone in to making sure, not just me, my brother, my sister, my cousins, how much effort has gone into making sure that the Nyoni and the Moyo kids as they are today, you can't disregard that. And I think the least I can do is say, I am a proud British Zimbabwean.
Yes.
You know, I can't lie. Sometimes when I go home, I have to just, yeah, no, mate. I'm not gonna. Yeah, so you gotta know when to use it because sometimes when you get home, I'm just a little bit, and you're like, hold on, sorry.
You have to unlock.
You have to just be like, sorry. But then sometimes you just have to throw it away and be like,
Yeah.
I enjoy playing with it. I think it's the best thing to do. You know, that code switching.
Yeah.
You know, the idea that when you just say, yeah, everybody knows what you mean.
Yeah.
It's just like, yeah. You know, it's one of my favorite things about me, my duality and my multifacetedness, as we all have.
Yeah.
It's one of the best things.
Yeah, no, that is so amazing. So, okay, so we fast forward and again, thank you so much for sharing that with us because I think it gives us the
I'm so sorry for
context.
waffling. If Nat doesn't stop me, we're going to be here all day.
You are not waffling. Like,
okay, I'll continue.
I've been saying that I was looking forward to that, and I think there's a number of things that I got from there. It's just about your parents' intentionality, which then also led you to you wanting to sort of like learn your culture, which is
I
really,
don't even
really
think
powerful.
I don't even think, sorry to cut you off. I don't think they realize how much their intentionality has rubbed off because they are doing what they need to do. And of course it's for us.
Yeah.
But a lot of it's for themselves. So I don't think they realize.
Yeah.
I don't think they fully realize. I'm not mad at them for that.
Yeah.
But I'm like, sometimes I'm like, yo, hello.
Yeah.
Look at your child. Hello. But I don't think they realize how much their intentionality is rubbing off on us.
Yeah.
And how when we walk through our daily lives, we singe because of them.
Yeah.
You know?
They must be proud. They must be proud.
I don't know, man. Oh, yeah. I'm playing. I'm sure they are.
So, okay, so we go back to the music. So I'm really interested in sort of like, how did you find yourself in that space where you're like, okay, I really... I guess even just sort of getting into music, because you mentioned like when you were at school, like you're the only Southern African, and I remember like back in the day, like Afrobeats was the thing, and you know you'd kind of have to go on YouTube to kind of get the new music. So how did you sort of like really get into the music, and then sort of like how does that then evolve into you being like, oh, you know what, I want to create a playlist, I want to do Mima Mondays, I want to use my social media for this.
So as I said earlier, like music begins with my dad. So my dad managed a few artists years back. And through that, he met a lot of people. And meeting those people, I mean, I've always been a very forward person. I'm sure people are like, yeah, papa lo. And your papa shem. Oku papa opens doors. So I've been paparing from young. So whenever there was these concerts, I'd always be like, what's going on here? Cameraman there. I'm like, I want to sing today. Oh my gosh, I would fight. I'd be like, I want to be on stage. So just trying to be, you know, like, what's this thing? Eyes, and there's a phrase that the British have. Don't know, I'm not British today. There's a phrase that the Brits have, but just like being the eyes and ears of everything. And you get to meet these people. And, you know, my parents would take us to these concerts and, you know, Lady Smith. I remember when I saw Hugh Maskell, I almost cried. It was for my 18th. Oh my gosh, Nat. Like, I was sat there and I was like, oh my gosh, that Hugh. Is that you?
Oh,
it was crazy. So we've always just got, and as I said, music is home. So just connecting with these amazing, great people. And so like I've been listening to music. I'd be the only person. I'm like, guys, have you heard? For example, I'll be like, have you heard Via Orlando? They'll be like, no, what are you talking about? Davido just dropped the other day. And I'm like, yeah, that's great. But we're Via Orlando. Like, Orlando. Like, what's... And people... And my friends were like, what's this house stuff? Guys, like, no. And I'm like, okay, fine. So, don't get me wrong. Afrobeats, like... Take me to Afrobeat thing. I'm there. I'll be there. Skiloo. I'll be like, chop my money. I'm in it. Like, I'm well versed in the sound. But as you grow, and you start to realize what you really like, and you're like, not that I dislike it, but you start to realize what you really like. You're like, okay, cool. So you start to try and see what you can do. So people like Mixolis, for example. Mixolis is, I I hope he doesn't mind me sharing this. I really hope. If not, I'm sorry. But Mixolis's mother and my dad, they know each other just through that whole sound stuff.
Right.
And so I remember I was like, oh my gosh, Mixolis is so cool. Please don't get a big head Mixolis when you're watching this. But I'm like, oh my gosh, he's a DJ. And just, I was like, this is cool. Of course, my parents were never going to let me go out to Stratford Rex. Do you remember Stratford Rex?
Yes.
What would I be doing at Stratford Rex at 16, 17? So people like Mixolis, people like Xavier that were involved in sound. And I'm like, this is really, really cool. Anyway, leave home, go to uni, still listening to sound. And I'm just going to fast forward this story. You know, I'm still listening to music, still bumping. Most of my playlist will be gospel most of the time. So that's where music starts for me. Like Southern African gospel, that is the starting point. And then we grow from there. Get to like university, we're like, yeah, Homenite, it's great. Just going, it's flowing like the water. You know, it's great. Finished my first degree because I have 2 degrees. Okay. I'm joking, I have 2. Finished my first degree. And then we start my master's. Lockdown. Lockdown, guys, yes, mate. Sure if Instagram were to make us pay for all the scrolling we did, we would have been in trouble. None of us would have jobs today. Like, we'd be broke. Anyway, that's where I really started to like tap in. And I'm like, there was so, because you had nothing to do. I was studying at home. I was consuming so much music. I was like, So this is where, you know, people like DJ Kanda Cool and Mixolis started to do song for song battle.
Yes.
And if you were there during those SFS days, my goodness, it was one of the best things ever.
Yeah.
And it was cohesion. It was community. It was everything you would want your lockdown to be for like 2 weeks, not forever. And it was great. You know, it was beautiful. And my time, I feel like lockdown messed up my timings. But after that, you have Room 28, which involved, you know, people like Gugu Kumal, so Gugu Kumalo, Mixolis, DJ SK, Oluche, and DJ Nell. Amazing, phenomenal people. And so, you know, here's this collective of people pushing Amapiano.
Yeah.
Ipiano. It's going beautifully well. We're pushing this sound and it's going nice. So I'm in the space with people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, man. Ow. I'm like, yeah, man. There needs to, like, what else? You always want to have ownership over your own thing.
Yes. Yeah.
You always want to have ownership over something that you have personally created. My timings are very messed up. I didn't think about this. But anyway, Room 28. Then Room 28 comes to a close. And this is where my timings get mixed up. But I remember this is sort of out of lockdown now. And I am unemployed because I finished my MA. And I'm like, there's so much sound, I'm listening. And I literally just go on Instagram because I'm loud. And which is why I started by saying I am a forward person. I'm like, I'll just do whatever I want. Excuse me. I'm like, this is the song for the week or what I've been listening to.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whatever. And people are like, oh, thanks, Mima. That was a really good song. That was really good, whatever. Cool. Keep stepping, keep moving. I'm like, okay, next time I'm like dropping 3 songs. I'm like, these are the 3 songs I've listened to the week. I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. People are like, oh, this is great. And my mum is like, why don't you think about this? I'm like, okay, cool. And I'm like, I need to think of a name.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Mima's Music Monday. So every Monday, and I you know, it was, I have to say, I didn't expect how people would respond to me. And respond to sound and respond to me. And the reason why I say respond to me is because I'm sharing, like, as I said to you and Brent earlier, it's just my playlist being made public. Yeah. And then when I say respond to sound, people are so much more receptive to sound than you can imagine. And I think sometimes we close ourselves and we're like, I only listen to the genre of jazz and I'm not going to listen to anything else other than jazz. Yeah. But it just hasn't been put to you in a way where you're like, oh, okay, maybe I can listen to something different. And I think I wanted it to feel as if I'm phoning him like, yo, bro, heard this fire track, listen to it and you get the chance. I didn't want pressure. If anything, when I sit and I put that phone in my mother's living room, I do it to share a good sound and to share an artist. Yeah. That's it. It's got nothing to do with me. It's got nothing to do with the fact that I could get a repost by the artist. It's got nothing to do with that. It's more about sharing good music because there's so much good music now. Yeah. So we have Mima's Music Mondays. And that's literally it. You know, I got a job at that point and I was working from it. I made sure I'm going to publicly admit this. If they fire me, I don't care. But I made sure that on a Monday I was at home.
Yeah.
Because if I wasn't home, I couldn't record content.
Yeah.
And there came a time where I was between London and Scotland. So I was flying up and down for work and I was like, yo, guys, how am I going to record the content? And I'd shift the days or sometimes I'd have like, do I have to record in a hotel room or whatever. But yeah, that ran for like almost a year. Not that it's over. It is not over. This is about to answer questions that many people have. And yeah, like Mima's Music Mondays has, I don't know, I think I'm still spun by the fact that people are like, yo, you do a really good job, you know? I'm like, guys.
You absolutely do.
Like, it's small beans. And so now where we are now, you didn't ask this question, but I will answer the question that I think everyone would, that you probably will ask next. I have a job. And I think me and you speaking earlier about me being very young and just, this is my first year and a half of being in the proper employed world. Yeah. So balancing your job and then balancing your dreams or rather what you really like to do. Yeah. And at the moment, we're just at a deficit. Yeah. And until I, get that sorted, I don't want to put myself in front of a camera and be like, welcome to Mima's Music Mondays. I'm the auntie of the children. And here are the songs. It wouldn't be organic. And I am taking stock of what it is that I want to really achieve with Music Mondays. Yeah. It's great that I want to share sound and share artists. Yeah. But what do I want to really do with it? Not in a way where I'm like, I want it to benefit me. I know people are like, yeah, it should. But there's so many beautiful sounds that exist that don't have the light. And I just think we just need to shine them. Absolutely. I know some people think that I've planned it out. I'm like, no. Honestly, whatever I listen to on a Sunday night or the week before, I'm like, yeah, we're going to share that. And I tag the person and I'll be like, so we have songs of the week, we have artist of the week or spotlight. So that will be like a new artist. And then we have sounds of the people. Yeah. What are the people listening to? So really developing it into a show. Yeah. Which by God's grace will actually happen for me. It will. I really hope so. But yeah, Music Mondays, it was my form of therapy. Yeah. And it was my form of like connecting with people and creating community. Like you can heal so many people via music. Absolutely. You can heal so many people via sound. Yo, net. Like it piano, even when it's kokotaring, Shem, you can feel full. Yeah. And I feel full by the sounds I listen to. I feel full with somebody saying, you know what? That song is such a banger. Yeah. That fills me up because at least I know that the person that made that song, even though they may never hear that feedback. Yeah. It's feel good. No. Listen, you're doing well. It will do well. Do take stock. We're gonna be here. We support you anyway. And listen, Nat messaged me. I want you guys to know. Nat has been like, "Can you wake up?" Nat's like, "Can you wake up?" Little work, babes. Like, ubangene dali, because yeah. Yeah, and I appreciate that. I really, really do. People that are able to speak life and speak light and not just leave it to be words, but also want to water and let it bloom. Yeah. You don't lose those people. No. And listen, I so believe in you. We've talked about emotions. We've talked about like Julie Adenuga, like Julie Adenuga, Madam Julie, we love you. I literally like the stuff that she does with the top five. I'm like, Mima girl. I kid you, that was like, wake up. I was like, she said, wake up. Look at other kids. See what they are doing. They're eating Haribos, but other kids, they are top 5. No problem. No, and listen, we that's going to happen. And obviously, if you guys listened to our previous, one of the final Gellens Guys episodes, our Christmas one, you know that me and Mima did like her versus kind of thing. So, if you did check that episode out. So I think, like I so believe in you. You're very kind. And I want you to do great. Do take stock. But what I will say to you is... Yes, ma'am. Is as someone who I've always been a creative at heart. I think it took me so long to even say I'm a creative. Like I didn't know that's what it was, right? And sort of struggling like the job versus your dream. I think what I will say is
consistency.
Mm.
So you don't even have to do it every Monday. It can be once a month.
Yeah.
Right? It doesn't even have to be Monday.
Yeah.
It can be whenever you're free. It can be once a month. It can be every other week.
Yeah.
Right? Make it work for you, but consistency.
But consistency.
Once a month is fine.
Yeah.
It's just like, okay, this is what's been happening in June.
Yeah.
This is what's been happening in July. But keep at it.
Yeah.
Keep at it. Don't let and again, it's don't let it not be at the cost of your job, because a job is very important.
Cost of living. Cost of living.
Exactly. But consistency, and you can dial it back.
Yeah.
Right? You can dial it back and do, or then you can maybe use, I know like YouTube's a bit funny with music copyright and all that sort of stuff. But hey, you can even start a podcast. Who knows?
I'm joking. There's no announcement.
I mean, you can, because then
I'm playing.
Because then that way you can just be like,
there's flexibility in it.
Yeah, there's flexibility. It doesn't have to be live. It doesn't have to be on that day. And I think Instagram is just one way.
I've been quite amazed in the way that people have engaged on Instagram, and I am forever in awe of people that are content creators, like proper full-time content creators, because you will want to throw your phone in the bin.
This is a job.
You will want to buy a second iPhone. I have 2 phones, and I remember I'd have one playing and then one recording. Yeah. And you want to, at that point, you're like, no, like Zuckerberg, come. No, like Zuckerberg. What's it, Chomi? Let's have a quick conversation. But no, like I appreciate the words, and I think Mima's Music Mondays doesn't stand because of me. It stands because of people like you, and the wealth of people that stand behind me. Just people that believe in you. And I'm not someone who, as confident as I am, it will forever choke me up when people say such nice things and want to affirm you and the gifts that live inside of you and just see you for who you are, which is a person who's just not serious a lot of the time. No, I'm joking. I'm quite serious. I'm quite serious. But yeah, man, Music Mondays has allowed for me to meet people in ways I wouldn't have imagined, and has allowed for me to spread sound, but also spread love. Music is a form of love. My favorite thing that I love to open with is like, I'm like, you are wanted, you are needed, and you are loved. Yes. And for me, that's the crux of it. You know, as I said, it's my public playlist, but in the public arena, we all love each other here. Yeah. And I want for that to really, really be evident and felt. And I'm intentional about that. If there's anything, I don't care if you don't add my playlist, even though it's on Apple Music and Spotify. It hasn't been updated for a while, but if there's anything I want you to feel that you are loved. And I recognize you as a person that is listening, you know? So... Yeah, here's to Music Mondays.
Exactly. No, that's great. No, Mima, thank you so much. I could spend
we could talk forever.
Exactly, and I think
we'll come back.
You need to come back.
Not me inviting myself.
No. You have
I'm coming.
You have to come back. You're my young sister. You have to come back. Like I so
family.
believe in you. Yeah. I think we discovered.
I've got all my sisters in me.
But before we close,
yes, ma'am.
Because I know we talked about but I know that's not all. You know,
all I do.
That's not all you do. I love your fashion on the TikTok.
Yeah.
Like, this is what I'm wearing. You know, I'm like, yes. And I love how like your mom sort of like is part of it.
Please don't believe that woman when she says I'm shy. It's a lie. It's a lie. All of it. No, I mean, as you're saying quite rightly, Nat, you know, music is just one part of my life, but I'm an education babe. What I mean by that, I love to read.
Wow.
I hold 2 degrees, and I want to just highlight something about people that hold masters. If you've ever done a master's, please, I salute you, because that thing can kill you. Even more doing it during COVID.
Gosh. Ooh.
I know that time, guys. I know I almost threw my wig. Into the fairness. But no, I'm an education babe. So, you know, one thing I really want to do is get my PhD, and hopefully in the next couple of years do that. But reason why I would do that is because global health is a very big thing to me.
Right.
So my background in terms of learning, in terms of education, would be global health, specifically communicable diseases, specifically HIV/AIDS. We come from a place where HIV/AIDS is prevalent, and it is one of the highest rates in not just Africa but the world.
Yeah.
And so I've always been very, very interested in health and how do we sort out prevention? How do we look at, condom distribution? How do we look at ARVs? How do we look at HIV in Zimbabwe? That's my thing. So that's one part of me. As Nat said, I like clothes. If I'm not spending money on clothes, then you won't see me at all. But yeah, fashion, it's another way to express yourself. I take so much pride in my clothing. Even if it means I'm going to Asda, I will make sure that my Ugg boot, it looks good in whatever it is. I'm a sucker for that type of stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm a Christian babe. I'm saved by the Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. So I lead my youth group, or rather, I am the leader of the youth part in the UK. I sing. I dance when I'm a dancer. I'm an all-rounder. And I think, as what you alluded to earlier, is that it took you a long time to call yourself a creative. I think it has taken, I've always said I'm an all-rounder, but now I say I'm an all-rounder and I sit in it. Yeah. And I sit in my all-roundedness, and I'm proud of my all-roundedness because I am who I am because of it. I'm not ashamed of it. And neither should people be ashamed of their all-roundedness. We are multifaceted people. When people say, hi, so it's like, hi Nat, how are you? What do you do? My answer will always be, I live life, because I will not be...
I love that.
Yeah, because why should I be defined by the fact that something pays me something per annum when there's something that actually pays me holistically, and there's something that pays me within my heart. So if you were to ask me, don't ask me how are you, because I will say I live life. But I think people get bowled over and they're like, there's no direction here. And it throws them. And I'm like, no, you're not being specific.
Yeah.
Are you asking what I do 9 to 5?
Yeah.
Are you asking what I do after 5? What's your question?
Yeah.
Because you won't confine me from there. Because the moment you say, oh, I work in the charity sector. Oh, she does well. She does good things.
Yeah.
I do more than good things.
Exactly.
I wake up and I bath. That's another good thing.
Oh yes, bathing. No. Please, guys, don't skip that one.
And wash your legs.
I was about to say.
Wash your legs.
The legs.
Thank
don't
you.
miss the legs. But no, Mima, thank you so much. When we started, I asked you for the first word that came to mind.
Word.
And you said word.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. So my question, well, I guess what I will say is, it's so interesting that you said word, because I feel like you've shared a word.
You feel like
right?
I've shared a word?
Yes, exactly. I think you've talked about, even like now when you're talking about when people ask, what do you do? And you say, I live life.
Yeah.
For me, I think that's a word. And I think throughout you made, again, it's just the first word that came to mind, but I think that was a thread of our conversation, which is literally like you dropping gems and sharing a word. And I just wanted to check, like, do you feel that way?
I just talk. I honestly, I have been very blessed. I've been very blessed with the fact that I know how to talk. I know how to manipulate my words. It's a skill. Like some people like, oh no, but it's a skill. But the one thing that I want for people to feel rather, is that when they meet me, they feel seen. And by that, they see me a bunch of confusion. I'm not confusion, God forbid, but someone who's trying to figure it out. And I want to present that. I don't want it to be a lie, but also because words have power.
Absolutely.
If I'm not going to drop some verses, but your tongue has the ability to either bring life or bring death. Your tongue has the ability to either pour water or pour fuel. So what choice do you want to make today? And I think it's a thing for me. I like words, and my word, before we even wrap, my word is going to be what I always say with Mima's Music Mondays, which is, you are wanted, you are needed, and you are loved. And when you are not wanted, you are wanted by me. When you are not needed, you are needed. But when you feel not needed, you are needed by me, and you are so loved, because people need to be told that they are loved. I love you, Brent. Safe. I love you, Nat.
I love you too.
Yeah, people need to be told that they're loved. There are so many people that just need a hug.
Absolutely.
And some love.
Absolutely.
And that's all we need. that's the one thing that we've been put on the earth to do is just love, hug, community, cohesion, and, you know, have some lemon tea. And wash our legs.
Love that. So, you know what? You've no better ending. So thank you so much, Mima, for your time. Guys, make sure you check out Mima's playlist. We'll put a link to it and put a link to all the stuff that she does. And yeah, this has been an episode of Chat with Nad. Make sure you like, subscribe, share this with a friend.
Tell your mother.
And let us know what your word is.
What is your word? Oh, yeah. And by the way, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah.